I've seen is that when you can jam a project with referral traffic, it always grows a lot faster organically than when you can't. And I think it goes back to Google discovering 1 billion new pages per day. You know, how do you kind of know which one's valuable to the user? Well, if one's getting hella referral traffic, you know, they must be a real brand. They must be doing something right to bring all those users through there. And so I've had that the dog website I showed you. I slammed it with 8,000 Facebook visitors. And right after that, it just started shooting up. I've worked on e-commerce projects where I set up a bunch of deals with micro-influencers, and they sent qualified traffic that converted and purchased. And then those pages ranked a lot higher and a lot quicker than I would have ever imagined.
Hello and welcome to DTC Podcast. Today we're doing a deep dive with Nick Jordan from contentdistribution.com. Nick is someone who I've been seeing on the socials posting really interesting things about SEO. And as someone who's always been on the paid side of the ball when it comes to marketing, I've just always been very fascinated with the arcane magic that is SEO. And I'm sure Nick cringes when he hears people talk about SEO like that. But we're here to demystify some of the aspects of modern SEO, talk about best practices, talk about what people are missing, some of the biggest mistakes they're making. Welcome KG, Kyle Guilfoyle, to the podcast as well. Nick, how are you doing? And what is one thing that people don't know about? What's one major misconception about SEO that people are currently grappling with?
Oh man. So thanks first of all for having me. I'm super pumped to be here and demystify organic search, because it's actually a lot simpler than people think. So, the first, 3 things that people think about organic search is backlinks, technical SEO, and praying to the Google gods. And I don't do any of those things, but I've grown 4 projects from 0 to 100,000 organics a month. Each one took about a year, and some of those projects are now doing over 500,000 visitors a month. And I don't know how to build backlinks. I'm not very technical, and that's because Google doesn't work the way people think it does. So I think the biggest misconception is that people think that the world's most sophisticated big data company uses backlinks as a primary ranking signal. I think it would be a major oversight if Google, the world's most sophisticated big data company, who also owns Google Analytics, who also owns Chrome, if they didn't use that user engagement data to determine which pages add more value to the user than another page. Time on site, bounce rate, pages visited, branded searches, return visits, did you stop searching for the thing you were searching for after you found this page? All better answer whether one page is more valuable to the user than another, than a fuzzy metric like backlinks.
Got it. So again, that's just towards this holistic ideal of the entire user's experience, rather than these hackable actions that you can take as like an SEO.
Yeah, I think Google's motivated to provide the best search results because they make $118 billion a year on Google AdWords. And so even a 1% dip in market share represents $1.8 billion or $1.18 billion. And also a 1% loss of market share would rattle investors. The impact on the stock performance would probably be even bigger. And so at a bare minimum, Google just needs to continue to try and show better search results, over time. And if you align with, if you're higher quality and more relevant than any other page Google could show, I've found that you'll rank all day.
And for anyone in the audience who doesn't know what backlinks are, could you first of all just sort of give us a lay of the land of that? And also your LinkedIn profile says you've earned 65,000 page 1 results without backlinks. And so part 2 to that question would be, why is that awesome?
So backlink is when one web property links back to another web property. So think about the link in your Twitter profile. Think about the links on Wikipedia. At some point, Google did rely on those pretty heavily, I guess. I wasn't really an SEO at the time, but this is what people tell me. I've only been in SEO for 3 years, but I feel like I have better outcomes than, 99.99% of SEO agencies. And I attribute it to my focus on, I only do three things. I try and be the highest quality, I try and be the most relevant, and then I do that 500 times per month.
I like it. And that gets into velocity, which is something that we, even just hearing some of some of your other posts, just listening to the way you talk about content velocity, it's actually informed some of our strategies lately, and what we're trying to do. So talk about velocity and why that's one of the key factors in success here.
Yeah, so I think there's a couple different reasons. The first is it's a moat. It's hard to publish a lot of content, and Google doesn't want to rank thin sites. If you have a dozen pages, you're probably not going to rank for the things that you're looking to rank for, because it's very easy to create a dozen pages. Anyone can do that. But when you start talking about 200, 300, 500, 1,000 pages, that becomes very difficult. And I think that's one part of it. It's just a signal that this is a real brand. It's not like a random dude. Google discovers 100 million new pages, 1 billion new pages every day. They need some way to determine, is this page ever going to be valuable to the user? And if you only have 12 pages on your website, chances are, there's probably better results that Google could show. I think the second thing is that I believe that internal links tell Google that this page is important to your brand. And so if you have a lot of internal links going to one page, maybe the bottom of the funnel landing page, I think you tell Google, hey, this page is really, really important to my brand. And so we can rank the content in the middle and the top of the funnel, but we're linking back to the bottom of the funnel, and we're achieving superior rankings for those harder to rank for terms with higher intent, just by internal linking. I think the last thing is, it goes back to user engagement metrics. If you have this doorway page at the top or middle of the funnel, and you can bring people in here, and then you can move them to the bottom of the funnel to your landing page, I think it's also a good indicator to Google that you're creating value for the user if they click through.
Very cool.
That's awesome. My thing is, when I hear about high velocity or high volume content strategies, my mind automatically, maybe it's because I'm lazy, but it automatically sounds like a shit ton of work, and it sounds like a bit like a hamster wheel. And I'm just wondering if you can help me see that differently. Could you help me out there?
Can I share my screen? I'll show you a really good example of how important content velocity is.
Sure. Advanced multiple event sharing options, only host all participants. Okay, should be good.
All right, got it. Okay, so what we're looking at is the top players in the pet space. And we have the domain name, we have the estimated traffic that's provided by Ahrefs. We have the domain rating, which is like a measure of how authoritative the site is. Then we have the number of pages. But the most important metric is the efficiency score, which is basically you take the total number of traffic and you divide by the number of pages. And what's really interesting is that there's a very narrow band of about 170 to 872. No one's generating 80% of the traffic with 20% of the pages. And so when you look at it from this lens, it becomes entirely a content play. Now, down here is Doggypedia. This was my site. I ended up actually selling it to a hypergrowth DTC brand back in March. And they're keeping me on to grow the DTC brand to 1 million visitors a month. And you can see that the DR, the thing that people usually care about, the number of backlinks I have is by far the least amount. And it didn't stop me from achieving an efficiency score just as good as like the big boys in the space, that have 1 million backlinks.
And what did that translate to in terms of your ranking? Like, is that what you figure is like the key metric that Google's looking at? Like, because you think about it, that's what they want you to go to as few places as possible, get as the most, at spending the longest time on one place. Is that like, what is the main goal that Google wants? Is that they just want you to figure shit out?
They want to service their users. They want to provide them a good experience. So they come back and they don't use, Apple's new search engine or Bing or Yahoo or whatever. and this is true for every industry that I've looked. The people that are generating the most organic traffic always have the most number of pages. It has never not been true so far. There might be some outliers, but I haven't found them. And in general, you know, if they're an outlier, you know, it's going to be harder to replicate than the strategy that everybody else is doing.
Very cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a perfect segue because a lot of DTC brands do shy away from SEO. We found, and I'm wondering, like, so content is obviously a moat, but most DTC brands choose to build that moat, I think, through media buying and ads, and so. You've definitely given us an indication of what they're missing out on, but could you speak to the missed opportunity that many DTC brands are kind of dealing with here by just not using SEO at all?
Yeah, definitely. So I had a conversation with a top 200 Shopify store recently, and the truth is that they're crushing out ads. Like, it's just hyperscale. You can go from 0 to like a lot of figures very, very, very quickly. And the reason they were interested in working with us is because, you know, all these DTC guys, they rely on Facebook ads, but they hate it. They feel like they're being held hostage to Facebook. They know that it's, you know, their cost of acquisition could go up, you know, double tomorrow. And so they were approaching us when we scoped out the opportunity. You know, we could probably add, you know, 5% to their top line, which is very incremental. It's, you know, honestly not very exciting for how much revenue that they were doing. But the reason they were interested is because it added a significant amount to the bottom line because the cost of acquisition was so much lower with organic search. And, you know, when you start talking about like acquisitions, you know, that it's a multiple of EBITDA or, you know, profit. And so any way to increase the bottom line is now, you know, interesting for them.
When you talk about costs there, are you taking into account all the cost of the content itself?
Yeah.
Interesting. And so it's still, even at scale, even pumping in all that if you think about it, right, that content just exists for, you know, you buy it once and it's there for all your visitors, right, versus an ad that you're paying every single time to serve that content to someone. So
even if the content costs hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, the cost of acquisition is still so much lower than, you know, 30%, which I think what people shoot for, right? In DTC is they don't want to spend more than 30% of their, you know, product costs.
Yeah.
30% is a lot, especially when you're doing, you know, a lot of figures.
Totally. Well, what you said about Facebook and how, you know, many people feel you know, a little bit held hostage by them. On the other hand, there's this guy I'm a big fan of. His name's Chris von Wilpert of Content Mavericks.
I love that guy.
Yeah, and he says SEO is kind of like something to the effect of pulling down your pants, bending over, and just waiting for Google to basically give you you know, whatever it's going to give you. and so he advocates a strategy that he obviously optimizes for Google because, you know, he recognizes that it, you know, makes sense over time, but he also he adds on to that bit of paid media spend to boost the process. Could you speak to that, or have you done anything like that?
I'll talk about the power of referral traffic and what I've seen on its impact on e-commerce stores that I've worked on. But first, I want to talk about Chris for a second. Like, I think Chris has some of the best content on my Facebook feed, and he's like one of 5 people that I've starred, so I see all of it. And I love him despite the fact that he how can I say this? You know, like he says what I'm doing is the exact wrong thing to do. He says, you know, generate a lot of money from 5 pages of content. You don't have to publish 100. And despite that, I think what he does works. And I'm probably at some point gonna, you know, sign up for his course.
That's interesting. Okay, the air is cleared.
Yeah. Beef is squash that he didn't know we had.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we'll escalate it. We'll escalate that beef up. We'll get him on.
Let's do it. Let's escalate it. I like escalating. So what I've seen is that when you can jam a project with referral traffic, it always grows a lot faster organically than when you can't. And I think it goes back to Google discovering 1 billion new pages per day. You know, how do you kind of know which one's valuable to the user? Well, if one's getting hella referral traffic, you know, they must be a real brand. They must be doing something right to bring all those users through there. And so I've had that the dog website I showed you. I slammed it with 8,000 Facebook visitors. And right after that, it just started shooting up. I've worked on e-commerce projects where I set up a bunch of deals with micro-influencers, and they sent qualified traffic that converted and purchased. And then those pages ranked a lot higher and a lot quicker than I would have ever imagined. And so if you can drive referral traffic from email, from Twitter, from Facebook, from Pinterest, you know, you should see a better impact. With one caveat, it does appear that Google has stopped this tactic from working for paid traffic because of a couple high-profile companies that abuse paid traffic to boost their rankings to 30 million organics a month.
That sounds pretty effective for sure. And so, okay, so we're, you know, our audience is DTC brands. So, you know, that ranges from beverages, soda beverages that maybe don't require a lot of content or might be difficult to create content that people are searching for, you know, all the way to health products that do require a lot of, you know, scientific explanation. And so my question is an investment in SEO beneficial to every single brand, or are there some brands that maybe it's not well suited for?
Yeah, I would say there's a lot of brands that they're not going to get an SEO investment or an ROI from, and that's because they choose the wrong SEO vendor that is going to focus on a couple of bottom of the funnel landing pages. They're going to throw backlinks at it, and they're going to tell the client, you know, the DTC, we're praying to the Google gods right now. You know, we just got to wait. And I think probably people get bad outcomes more often than they get good outcomes. And I think a large part of that is due to their vendor selection process and, you know, their own inability to, you know, evaluate people who are good at what they do.
I love your attitude because it's like, you know, we talked a little bit about this in chat. You were saying, you know, the difference between the paid side and the organic side. It's like you take that paid mentality a little bit more in that you're forcing the issue. You're not, we're all praying to the Google gods in some ways, but at the same time, you're forcing the issue with this content velocity. I wanted to know if you could walk us through, like, if you had a new brand, when you have a new brand come on, like, what's that whole step-by-step process that you take to get them to their goals?
Yeah, I mean, I love this study. So first you have to understand, is there even an opportunity to generate money from organic search? And for a lot of brands, it's going to be true. Now, you know, you might think that there's like a handful of keywords that you want to rank for, but when I think about organic search, I think about saturating the funnel. How can I be everywhere my audience searches, regardless if it's the top, middle, or bottom? And that's going to require a lot of content. You know, if you think about something like protein powder, you know, there's 500 articles you could create on how much protein is in an egg and how much protein is in milk, right? That's all relevant. People that are searching for that information are, I feel like, more likely to buy a protein powder than people who aren't, or, you know, ab exercises. And so, you know, especially with these DTC guys who are good at the retargeting, you know, I think there is value at capturing people at the top and the middle of the funnel with organic content. And, you know, so let's get into it.
Yeah. Did you want to share again? Oh, perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say we sell headphones, buds. We'll do AirPod. So essentially what this tool does is it tells us all the ways that people are using these keywords in their searches. And then it tells us how many people are making these searches. And the tool is very specific. So if we don't type in these minor variations, it won't tell us. People don't know how to spell. So you want to try and get all the ways that people are searching. Now, when we look at how many, basically the tool is now telling us that there's 365,000 ways that people use these keywords in organic search results. Now, if I'm like, let's say, you know, Skull Candy or True Wireless or JBL, or even, you know, up here with it turns out there's a surprising amount of opportunity to get in front of people who just broke their AirPods, who are searching AirPods versus Samsung Galaxies, who are, what happened? Can I track my AirPods if they're stolen? The issue is we have 365,000 ways that people are searching, and keyword research today is broken. SEOs, they manually go in and they make a bunch of gut level decisions. You know, can I rank AirPod Pros? Can I rank for that keyword with the same page as AirPods? You know, can I also rank that same page for AirPods too? And then can I rank that same page for, you know, AirPods case? And some of this might seem intuitive, like AirPods case might be, sounds like a different page to me than AirPods 2, but the point is that you end up having to make this decision 10,000 times. I think this page, these keywords go on this page and these keywords can rank together. And unfortunately, most of the time, people are wrong. Those keywords can't rank with one page, and you actually need 2 pages. So I think one of the reasons we've been able to drive outsized results, despite me not being very good at SEO. I'm not, you know, I can't emphasize that enough. I don't know backlinks, I don't know technical, all the things SEOs talk about, like most of it goes over my head. There's no SEO position in my organization. I have a 25-person content team, 20 editors, 20 writers, 6 editors. None of them know SEO either, but they consistently create content that ranks. And I think this is a core piece of it. Because what this tool does is it groups keywords together based off of data from Google. I built it in-house. I'm launching it soon. And what you end up with is, let's take a look at Apple AirPods. So we have AirPod replacement. You know, I want to answer that question. Apple might beat me, but I want to try and answer that question. AirPods not connecting. I want to answer that question too, because if the AirPods aren't going to work, you know, I want them to buy mine because AirPods are really expensive and maybe they just bought it like a week ago. Best fake do AirPods give you cancer?
And so these are all questions that Ahrefs is saying are related to the keyword, your keyword query. Is that right?
This is what your tool is doing.
So basically what I did, and I might have skipped ahead here, is I took these 365,000 keywords and I just exported the top 20,000. And I brought it into my tool. And what my tool does is it groups the keywords that can rank together. And keywords that can't rank together, it puts into different content topics. And so if I want to saturate the funnel, I know that all of these are unique pieces of content that I need to create.
With those keywords, with the words in there, and not stuff, just used naturally. Just used naturally.
Yeah. And there's like a formula, right? Like the main keyword is the URL. And then the H1 contains the main keyword. And then the H2s contain the variations. And so after you get here, you answer a lot of questions. How many pages of content do I need to publish to generate X number of traffic? So if we look at it, you know, the top 105 pages represent almost 1 million searches per month. 888,000, it says down here. And now we can start doing some cost calculations. How much is it going to cost to generate this 800,000 visitors a month? And what's the ROI? And so you can plug it in here. You can change this. You can modify all of the variables that will impact the success of the campaign. So the CTR is what percent of the people searching of those 888,000, what percent will actually click through to your website? A 10% CTR is a ranking 5, a blended rank of 5, which I feel like is pretty conservative. You know, you can set the conversion super low, but if you're good at retargeting, you know, it might be higher. This SQL is for, you know, B2B SaaS. But then you can set the ALV, and now you can start to calculate, you know, what are the like worst case scenario, what's the middle of the road, and what's best case that this campaign will generate. And then if you know how many pages you need to publish, now you know how many writers you need to hire, you know, how long it's going to take you. Do you want to publish it all in 1 month, or do you want to publish it all in a year? Well, you know, divide your total costs by your publishing timeline, and now you know your monthly budget. You know, each writer can only publish so much content, so now you know how much writers you have. Each editor can only take on so many writers, so now you know how many editors you need.
Cool. That's cool. And I have two questions. So based on all of those all those questions that were spit out in that sheet there, which by the way, is this something we can give our audience access to, the calculator in this? Is that a, I mean, sweet.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so, okay, so you have a ton of questions and possibilities here. And I keep hearing you mention that, you know how many pieces of content you need to create based on this. That part's unclear to me. So how does this tell you how many pieces of content you need to create? Is it all of it, or?
Okay, so let's go back to this list of 365,000 keywords. Right now, most SEOs, I'd say nearly all of them, cannot answer the question, how much pages of content do I need to build to saturate this funnel? You know, is it 100? Is it 200? Is it 1,000? They don't know. But after running it through my tool, Cluster AI, they'll get back this list of unique pages that they need to create. And now they know, you know, I can publish over 300 pages that have more than 1,000 searches a month.
Okay, that's awesome. And so my next question is, so we figure out the ROI based on the calculator. Then how much could a brand expect to spend, say, you know, on your service or doing it themselves or whatever? What does that investment look like?
Yeah, so I mean that's really variable when you work with an external contractor. It can, you know, like me, it can range, but generally I'm in the ballpark of a senior marketing manager in San Francisco. You know, you get my whole team, you get my expertise, you get my track record, and it's only the cost of one full-time headcount.
Cool.
If you want to do it internally, you know, you can do that. And again, it's also highly variable. Actually, I think it might be more expensive to do it internally because we've invested in such significant systems for like hiring and managing all of this content. You know, I think the average content writer in San Francisco makes like 70,000, and like in Austin it's 50,000. And so our team's all based in Serbia, and it's a lot less than that.
Nice. Have you heard of alsoasked.com? When you're talking about your tool, alsoasked.com is a tool that allows you to put in any topic and see the highest ranked or like the most popular questions about any given topic. And so it sounds like it's a hack, like until your tool is ready, which is something that we'd be happy to let people know about. But it just allows you to, give you, so you put in AirPods there. If you put in maybe some of those keywords, it's possible they'd spit out, the most popular questions around it.
Yeah, it's really similar to, or it seems similar to Answer the Public. I think that's.
Yeah. So, this looks cool. The deliverable here isn't very good. It's not, I feel like it's not as useful.
No.
What we end up doing is we take this what we call it an opportunity analysis, where we're kind of scoping like what the funnel looks like and where the opportunities are. And then we have a pretty sophisticated content operation that helps us manage that 500 pages a month of content. So we'll come in and we'll import it into Airtable. Have you guys used it before?
I have. I've worked in companies where it's been used, but I haven't had my hands on it a lot.
You know,
All right,
I'm really
so,
curious.
So you'll see, like, we're doing a piece of content for this company on like Apple Music free trial, or like a refund from Ancestry. We have the volume, 450 searches per month, and then we have all of the variations that can rank along with that main keyword, provided by the opportunity analysis. Cluster AI is opportunity analysis. And then we automatically generate a Google Doc with everything the writer needs to create the highest quality, most relevant piece of content. We have the technical writing guidelines. We have about the project. We have a table that they need to submit to make sure that they actually did complete the technical writing guidelines, because these are important. And then we have all of the keyword variations that they need to use in the H2s and stuff. And then they have to highlight what they do when they write the article. And then they write the article directly in the Google Doc. And so you're not passing around final draft version 7, the actual final drafts, the email anymore. You know, it's all managed through here. And then you can come in and you can look at
How did you get the length for that article? It was like 1266 or whatever. Is that like mathematically determined, or is that just sort of best practices for around what you want these to be?
So in general, I write a lot more content than that, but for that particular project, they are the incumbent, and I can get away without aligning everything with best practices.
Oh, interesting.
For that project, we're publishing 400 pages a month of content. And so in order to maintain the word count that I normally do, we would have to have 25 dedicated people, 30 dedicated people on the project, and it was just too much, you know, too hard to build that big of a team. And so then all the content is tracked, you know, every step of the content production lifecycle. There's probably 12 stages, you know, it moves through the stages. There's automations on the back end. When we assign content to writers, they get an email with a link to the Google Doc. And when they are done with the draft, they go to a dashboard and they send it back to us via automation. And, you know, it's all very, very streamlined.
Do you publish it directly? Are you handling all of it, like right from this ideation, execution, and then you're actually publishing it on their blog?
Yeah.
Cool.
This is super, super cool. Do you like sell this as a system, or is that the idea, or what's, because it seems like a lot of people would benefit from it, like us, Eric.
Yeah, that's my next question.
I don't sell the system, but I do sell the opportunity analysis tool, the keyword grouper tool. There's a lot of SEOs with their own systems.
Nice. So we're just planning our next phase, right? So we're direct to consumer. We're a newsletter. We're a podcast. We have a front end, just like the Hustle, that has no navigation, no other pages, but we're just building out. Basically, we want to force that lead. We want to force that lead as much as possible when people land on the page. Page is converting really well, but we want to then provide a back end, you know, where people can find us in search results, where we put all the, you know, what we're thinking right now is to just make every podcast, make sure we have a transcript there, and really just kind of keep that weekly content kind of stream going out there. I'm wondering if you, you know, give us a little 10-minute free consult on the direct to consumer.
So there's 3 things I want to address here. The Hustle, kind of where I think some opportunities are for you guys. And then I think there was a 3rd one, but I don't remember it. So first, are you guys members of the Hustle?
Yep.
Yep.
So actually, Sam introduced me to the person who bought that Doggypedia website, the DTC brand.
Oh, cool.
So I've never met Sam out. I think I sent him a message saying thanks on Facebook, you know, but that's the extent of, you know, but he's had a huge impact on my life.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Super, super nice guy. And he rides motorcycles, which is cool.
Yeah.
Well, we hope you get some clients from this as well.
Yeah, that's right. Definitely.
So in terms of you guys, you know, what's your primary, you know, what's your primary service that you guys offer? Is it Facebook ads?
Well, we're interesting, right? Because we're backed out by Pilot House, which is an agency that's our primary source offering as an agency is content funnels and Facebook ads, Instagram. It goes on from there. But realistically, with D2C, we're just trying to become the #1 voice in sort of D2C, you know, news, skills, insights, all these things. And eventually we'll be launching courses. Essentially, we'll be launching courses, potentially membership communities. You guys all heard it here first. We're hard at work on a way to get paid for all this awesome work we're putting in. And so, yeah, so right now our plan is to, just continue to grow the newsletter. We're approaching 10,000 subscribers.
Wow.
Yeah, in 10 weeks. It's crazy.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's going well. We really hit a nerve, man. Like that's the thing. Like we named it D2C. Everyone from the grassroots up is thinking D2C, but everyone from Unilever down is also thinking D2C. So we really kind of, I think with the branding, we created a pretty cool growth opportunity. It's been growing like crazy. And so, yeah, so we're working on sponsorships. Those will be locked down soon to kind of monetize. And then beyond that, we want to launch products based on the information that people find most valuable.
Okay, so that's great. Okay, so I got a bunch of ideas for you. I want to circle back on what you said around the transcripts. So are you guys familiar with like Josh Spector?
No, Josh.
Yeah, badass, or he used to be with Badass Marketers and Founders.
Yeah. So I brand jacked him using a transcript. And so what brand jacking means is when you Google, Banff Media, my website would appear, near the top of the search results. I've been able to do this for Shopify. So at one point in my last agency, we were the #1 result under Shopify for Shopify support. We were, above Shopify for Is Shopify Safe? We had a bunch of best print on demand stuff ranking as well. And so what you want to do with this transcript is you can brand jack me because, people are, not a lot of people, but my mom and other people are Googling me. And what you're going to do is you're going to pay Rev $60 or whatever. You're going to get a transcript. And then you want to randomly insert like H2s, the H2 font into the content. Nick Jordan from Content Distribution talks about this in this section. And you just want to use, Nick Jordan or Content Distribution or Nick Jordan and Content Distribution sprinkled within the content as H2s. And that's literally all we did. And then we ran for someone else's name.
Interesting. So we got to get Sampar on the podcast, and hopefully he hasn't watched this podcast where we talk about how we're going to brand jack him.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Hope he's not listening.
100%.
We love you, Sam.
Okay, so brand jacking, brand jacking is it's a lot bigger than just brand jacking like me or Sam. I use brand jacking a lot to brand jack brands, and so when someone's searching Klaviyo pricing, what we can do is we can look and see who's ranking for that. So going back to building your DTC audience, you can rank for DTC podcasts, but there's probably only a couple hundred people per month searching for it. But there's 2.2 thousand people every month searching for Klaviyo pricing. And the #1 ranked brand is AmpJar. It's not Klaviyo.
It's not Klaviyo, yeah.
And then right under Klaviyo is GetAct. And then Finlay is on digital and Capterra and e-commerce platforms. And so when I Google someone else's brand and I see that assets that don't belong to them are ranking, I know that I can steal that traffic and pull people from their funnel into my funnel. So the more money they put into their marketing efforts, the more people that Google their brand, the more people that end up seeing my brand.
And that would be just a matter of us creating content around Klaviyo, which a lot of our users are using Klaviyo. So if we created some insights around best practices on Klaviyo, that would be the way to do that, but specifically related to some of these group keywords. Yeah,
Klaviyo versus MailChimp. Klaviyo double opt-in, Klaviyo reviews, and there's tons and tons of Shopify apps that your audience that you want to get in front of is using, and they're looking for information for, and you guys are an expert in DTC. Why not you guys provide that information?
Love it.
What's another one? Privy's a big one, right? Privy, yeah.
That's Dave Gerhardt, yeah.
Privy seems to be, I don't know what they do, but I see all my DTC friends like commenting on their stuff and like interviewing them, and
totally.
And also it's worth mentioning any DTC brand could do this brand jacking thing too, right?
Yeah.
You can, if you have a toothpaste, You know, go rank for all the toothpaste like
Yeah.
reviews. You know, I think it's a very relevant strategy for DTC.
Very
Because
cool.
yeah, you're just taking other people's funnel.
You're taking other
Love
people's
that.
funnel and you're building something. And it's funny, like we talk about, you know, waiting for Google. You're kind of on the back of Google again, but not in the same way that you are with Facebook. Like Google can change, is always changing their algorithm, subtly changing, but they're not going to radically, you know, they're not going to decimate this strategy, which, as you say, isn't really to do with hacks and tips. It's just to do with really serving up highly relevant framed content for the user, right?
Yeah.
Which that's not going to pivot away from.
You know, going back to like my content's kind of controversial. This is a meme that I'm gonna post soon, and it's basically, you know, when you find out that there was a Google update from Facebook instead of your own traffic, because your traffic's still going up. The strategy that I proposed, I haven't been hit by a Google update on any of my sites because like we're just aligning with what Google really wants.
Yep. Ultimately. Badass.
So what was my question? I lost it.
You lost it. What haven't we asked that we should have asked by now? Anything you can think of? Anything that you'd love to talk about that we haven't dug in on?
Actually, I remember my question. Within our own content strategy, we sort of grapple with, you know, we want to make this vault, this bank of content that's really valuable for a paying subscriber, but we also want to get traffic. And so we're not sure whether we should just create like the best DTC blog in the world, or if we should create that bank of content and develop trust through our newsletter, or somewhere in the middle, similar to what The Economist or Trends does, which is, you know, they show the beginning of that article and then it fades out. And in order to read the rest of it, you have to become a paying subscriber. And so I'm wondering what you would recommend we do.
Yeah, okay. So every time that I've seen an aggressive pop-up that prevented the user from finding the information that they wanted, I've seen negative results, unless the user is hooked by the time they get to that opt-in. And the reason is because if you hit them in the first 5 seconds, you haven't built any trust or credibility. They're going to hit back and look for someone else that isn't asking for their email to find, you know, the thing they're looking for. It's going to impact your bounce rate, time on site, pages visited, and your page is going to drop. And then when you take it off, it's going to go back up. And I've seen this again and again and again, where, you know, I'll be looking at Google Analytics and all of a sudden I'll see a drop, and it looks really abnormal compared to our, you know, last 27 weeks of week-over-week growth. And I asked the client, dude, did you change anything? This is really weird. And they go, oh yeah, I installed a super aggressive pop-up. It pops up 1 second after you land on the page. And I'm like, dude. And then we take it away and it you know, goes back up.
So this is to say, you suggest that we do not put roadblocks, unless we're, as you say, unless we're very confident that we've hooked a user by the time they're hitting us.
That's correct. Yeah, it should be like that last piece. So like, for example, Klaviyo pricing, you know, maybe you have that opt-in. Maybe you don't hide the content. Maybe it's just an email opt-in. But maybe the last thing that they read is, you know, how does Klaviyo stack up compared to the top 5 other email automation tools? Or like a buyer's guide. Like, here's all the questions you need to ask from your email like service provider. You know, or here's how to evaluate it.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, just to sort of wrap up that one, my takeaway is to do the middle strategy where you hook them, because it's, you know, ideally it's great content that they're hooked by and they want to read more. And then, you know, you say, well, you know, a $1 free trial to read the rest of this or something. So that's kind of my takeaway.
Nice.
No. Well, I mean, if you can get them to pay the $1, and if they can get, you know, if you can get them to pay the $1, like, I think it'll just kill your bounce rate, unless they can get 99% of the value without giving their email address. You know, if you cut off like the important parts, people just haven't built any trust yet.
Got it.
Makes sense. Nice.
You
Well,
know, the hustle has a great brand. People that end up there, like, you know, I'm gonna go there, and like you guys said, it's great, and all my friends said it's great. I'm like, you know, I'm gonna sign up. But you know, from an organic search visitor who's never heard of your brand, there's none of that trust.
I'm really interested, just because this whole, like, you know, we're gating that front page. We're not linking out to the content on the front page because we just want to drive that lead to start. I'm interested. I'd really be interested to know how much of the hustle's traffic comes from their articles that they continually put out and the things that happen on that, like, that subtly partitioned, you know, not easily accessible. Does that punish them? Like the fact that they don't make, or that we won't make, you know, that content available on a user's first experience because we're trying to force that lead. Will that affect us negatively?
Is it the hustle.com or the hustle.co?
I think it's the hustle.com.
It's .co.
Oh, it is. Okay. Yeah. The hustle.co. That's right.
And the hustle.co, they don't gate anything. It's all, if you find an article, you can read the whole thing. I believe it's trends that if you find an article on the trends site, then you are, that's like part of that article is gated. Same with The Economist, and a bunch of other publications.
But if you go to the hustle.co, you can't get to any of their content until you subscribe, right? Unless you go to /blog, which is, you know.
Yeah.
So what we're looking at is that they generate, you know, an estimated 62,000 visitors a month from 4,300 pages of content. You know, clearly it's working, you know, and like, I'd say this could be, you know, I'd say their traffic could be twice as high to 5 times as high, based off of what I've seen, the delta on Ahrefs, this publicly available data source that guesses versus Google Analytics. But at the same time, you know, with 4,300 pages of content, if you look back to that dog example that we had, you know, those guys are generating 3 million a month with that same page count.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, you know, in general, most of their content doesn't rank, and most of their impact is created by the top, you know, 50 articles.
And I wonder how much these articles were strategically selected, or it looks like these are more just like interesting things that they're ranking for, you know, passively in a way. But who knows?
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool. Well, this.
Okay. Could one
last question.
More question before we wrap up. I swear. Yeah. So okay. So just this is kind of part of the wrap up. Really, is just if we could just give the DTC audience, you know, 3 to 5 tactics. So for example, one that I remember you said is velocity will build you a moat. You know, another one is to brand jack your competitors, or anyone who would benefit your brand essentially. And then what are a couple others?
So remember that writing template that I showed you in Google Docs?
Yep.
I give that away. You know, you can give it to your audience. It has all of my technical requirements in terms of, you know, what I want to see in terms of word count, structured data, like lists, tables, bullets, pictures, internal links, external links. It has examples of like about the clients that I've built that empower writers to create great content without having to bother the thought leaders. And I would say, yeah. So it's you know, it's figuring out, you know, saturating the funnel and then doing it in a very specific way.
Got it.
Awesome.
Now, if people want to get in touch with you, Nick Jordan, how can they find you? And because it's funny, like we bring people on, and we're not trying to create referrals necessarily. We did it a couple weeks ago with Alan Vanitae and his ambassador program, and he's just been deluged with leads from people who want his ambassador services. And again, we're just looking to create value for our listeners. But if users are interested in your approach to SEO, they want to get in touch, how do they do that?
Man, I would say go to contentdistribution.com and hit Let's Talk. But it turns out my funnel broke a while ago, and I didn't notice because I'm over capacity. Like, I have so much demand that I can't fulfill, and I'm telling 99% of the people I talk to, no. So, you know, if you really want to talk, like, you'll hit me up on Facebook or LinkedIn, or, you know, figure out my email, and maybe I'll have the funnel fixed by the time this goes live.
Nice. So
I don't know if that's too honest.
It's great. I love it. So stalk Nick, and prove, and it's just a challenge to you out there. If you've got a brand that Nick has got to see, and if you've got the ultimate SEO case, then you just got to, you know, make that 1%.
Don't get a hold of me.
He'll make room for you. But thanks so much for coming on the deep dive today. We'll be getting this out in a couple weeks. And there were some questions from the audience, but I don't know if we have time for those. I think we've got a hard stop at 12 here. So we'll.
Are we live?
We're not live. No, we did have some questions previously from the audience, and maybe I'll just hit you up on Messenger about those.
Okay.
Nice.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time. This was really awesome. I hope it, you know, your audience likes it. I sound.
Right. All right. My dog's going crazy. That means it's time to go. We'll catch you later.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks.
Peace.
Bye, guys.